Well, good evening, everybody. It's good to be out here with you today. Wanted to come out and make this little video for you. We was talking this week in Luke chapter 9, verse 22 and 23. Jesus had just got finished feeding the 5,000, and he was talking to Peter, and he was questioning Peter, "Who do you say I am?" And Peter, no doubt, said that some calls him Elias and, Jeremiah and the prophets. But Jesus narrowed down the question, "Who do you say that I am?" And Peter told him, "Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God." But he didn't want them disciples to tell anybody, because it says here in verse 21, "And he straightly charged them and commanded them to tell no man that thing." He didn't want it to get out, but the word would get out ultimately. But in verse 22, it says this: "The Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be slain and be raised the third day." This message was like basically a message in a nutshell. If I had to explain the gospel, I believe these two verses that is here would explain the gospel as good as any verses in the Bible. I wrote down a few things that Jesus did suffer. One thing that we know is that he left heaven. He left heaven behind. He also knew man's condition. He knows your condition today. He knew mine. He knows mine. He experienced flesh. I mean, let's face it, when he was in the Old Testament, he was spirit. He wasn't flesh. When he came to earth, he experienced flesh. He became man for us. You and I, he became man for every person. He knew his mission. He came to earth with a mission. The Bible says he would be rejected. Well, who was the one that rejected him? It was the ones that was religious. It was the scribes. It was the ones that it said here, the chief priests and the elders. We see that going on today. He would be rejected by the religious unsaved. Does that make sense? The things in verse 22, it says, "If any man will come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross and follow me." But it says in the verse before, "The Son of Man shall suffer many things." Well, we knew that he suffered the whip. We know about the whip. We know about the weight of the cross. We know about the 3 nails that was put in his hands and feet. We know about the crown of thorns and the mocking that he went through, and him being all alone. I mean, basically, he was alone. He was in excruciating pain. Did he know when he died? Remember, I think I mentioned it several weeks ago that he said, "It is finished," and he bowed his head and he died. He was sent to the cross to die. But I also think that he felt his resurrection life, because this verse right here says, and he was slain and be raised the third day. I believe when Jesus got up and God raised him from the dead, I believe that he had to notice his hands. He had to notice the holes in his hands and the holes in his feet. He had to realize that he was alive. He had to realize that. He felt his resurrection life. He had proof that he was alive again. I believe that he knew the cross. He knew the pain that he went through on the cross. But he also felt his resurrection life. And then it says he gives us all a choice, because it says in verse 23, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me daily. You know, he gives us all a choice. The question I think you have to ask yourself today is, are you his follower? Do you follow the Lord? Now, I went through this mighty quick because it takes me too long to bring the whole service. But there was a lot of things that he was willing to go through, just like this verse here said, the Son of Man must suffer many things. What are you suffering? Are you suffering from anything? A lot of us don't want to go through anything painful. We just don't want to go through anything that's going to hurt us. We don't want to face anything painful. Lord, give me something easy, but Lord, don't let me go through painful things. No, sometimes the painful things are needed to keep people humble. Are you his follower? He says in this verse, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily. Does Jesus want us to tote his wooden cross? The weight of that heavy wooden cross? Does he want us to tote it? No. What does he want us to tote? He wants us to tote the cross that he places on you and I, whatever that cross is. I hope that you're toting your cross today. Thank y'all for listening.